You're watching the Desert Moon Hockey Podcast with Matt and Rich.
All right, welcome back to episode 25. Wow, and Nick Cousins, something like that. Look, Mullet Arena, we have to make a Cousins joke. Why not? We're the South, we're just not that South. Anyway, Desert Moon Hockey Podcast, I am Matt, this is Rich. I thought it was a lot funnier in my head. And we got a pretty good show, all right? It's essentially TLDR. Even though today I had to deal with some stupidity at work and like people can't count or read or anything like that, I remembered I get to bully a politician and I get to do it tonight, right now. So we get to do that. We get to laugh at more generic hockey fans. We get to cry a little bit. And then also, because I've trapped Richie, I put out a poll right before we started recording this. And I will say what the question is and what the results are because we said it for 2 hours. So.
I have no clue what this is. I didn't check Twitter. I was in a meeting, so you caught me. You caught me real good. I do want to say, real quick, for our audio listeners, can you explain to them what the hell that you're wearing right now? What is that monstrosity?
Monstrosity. This is beauty incarnate. So throughout the week, my wife was at Ross. It's always Marshalls. You get the good Coyote stuff. Apparently now it's Ross. So they had a Coyotes, like a red women's large. So she has that. Now she has the red and the white Howling Coyote. She also had an extra large women's, but it's a white jersey. And she's like, hey, maybe it'll fit you. I'm like, okay. You know, my wife bought me a jersey. Of course, I'm going to be a good husband. I'm going to wear it. On top of that, I don't care. I'll wear a women's jersey. That Doan jersey behind me. It was like $60. I wore that when I was still skinny.
Yep.
But the arms were so tight that I decided to just cut the sleeves off, and this is literally a summer jersey. So it's basically like the full red neck. Like, you can see the armpit hair going. You could just, like, there you go. And I went to a Pokemon tournament last night dressed in this, because this is now the official AZ Sports Guy jersey. I might put in crayon AZ on the back, and then I'm going to wear it to the Mullet Arena anytime I go.
Oh, my God. You need to get the denim jean shorts and get some, like, cowboy boots, and then get some, like, pit vipers with a mullet, and just show up to the arena like that.
You know what? I will say it right here on this podcast. All right? Right here. I will grow a mullet. By the end of this season, I will have a full mullet. And whether or not I'm forced to keep it, it's going to depend on whether or not we can hit 16 million subscribers. I believe in us. I'm never going to have to keep that thing, thank you. But, it's funny. In middle school, I was a big fan of, like, wrestling and John Cena and, like, The Miz. So I would wear, like, jorts to school. I would just wear...
Yep.
So I'll bring it back.
I'll age myself here. I was just started watching when they rebranded to WWE back when they were WWF, and then the World Wildlife Foundation or whatever went after them and sued the crap out of them. And so they changed to WWE. I don't know how I feel about that jersey, but I will say you are a brave man for wearing it. That is
brave.
That takes some cojones. As for the jerseys, real quick, I think I talked about this on a previous episode, but I think that the Coyotes must have dumped a lot of women's jerseys. So, like, I know the way Ross works, why you can get like main brand clothing for cheap is like, let's say I'm Nike, right, and I have a bunch of basketball shorts, and I'm like, yeah, nobody's gonna buy these. We'll just cut our losses, and let's say the shorts were $6 to make, you sell them for $20. You know, Ross will come in and go, hey, we'll buy them at $8, so you're still making the profit off of that $6 it costs to make them, and then we'll go around and resell them for $10 to $12. So it kind of, everybody wins, and I think the Coyotes did that with females jerseys because my wife went to Ross, and she found like 3 or 4 Coyotes jerseys for super cheap, all female, and I'm like, pick them up, like, might as well. We have friends and family that come around, so, you know, I'm sure there'll always be girlfriends and friends who are more than willing to toss a jersey on and go to a game with us.
Hey, and look, only $15, you can't beat it. Like, you literally couldn't. And, like, I apparently, I didn't know I looked ridiculous. I thought I looked kind of hot, but, you know, there you go. It's a cheap $15 jersey.
Well, if you admire how hot Matt looks, I implore you to stick around and follow us and give us a like and a subscribe on all your listening platforms because that look is going to probably be all year long next year. So you might as well stay around now. I know that we had some things that we wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
There's two big things that dropped on Twitter, and which one would you like to talk about first?
Let's go with the third one. Let's go with Jersey ads. I forgot to add that to a little table of content. So,
all right.
The Jersey ads, was it Upper Deck? It was for like sports cards. Like a bunch of the young kids were doing a photo shoot, and it leaked out Gila River Arena, or not Gila River Hotels and Casinos, not Arena.
Yeah.
It's funny. I don't know if I mentioned it last time. I want to mention it now. I don't remember if you I was talking to you or talking to my wife. I called them there's no way Gila River is going to stick with the naming rights on the arena.
Yeah.
There's no way because they have no business anymore because they're really big with the Coyotes. That's a really good relationship.
Yep.
So now it's Desert Diamond. So hey, that happened pretty quickly. That's their jersey sponsor. And my official stance, it's changed ever so slightly since they first approved it, but it's pretty much I hate it. If it's on ice and on ice only, like with everything else, I'll just suck it up and get over it. But because it's confirmed to come to retail jerseys, I despise that. It's going to make collecting kind of suck. And
I completely agree.
I'm not going to pay full price for a single jersey with an ad on it.
Nope.
Especially how you'll have the option to or to not. So it's what, $20 more to not have the ad. I'm calling it. It will be something like that, even if it takes a couple of years. If they do stick by their promise to have options, unless their options are the Fanatics without the ads, then all Adidas are going to have the ads.
Yeah.
I'm going to call that at the arenas at least. That's going to be how it is. My personal opinion, but. Again, I'll get over it on the ice, not paying full price for it off the ice. At the very least, because I made the joke on the channel, I was actually going to wear that jersey, but I'll just... I made these little post-it note advertisements for
hot dogs.
fake sponsorship, and I put it up here because that's how big they are allowed to be. At least, even though it's gross and I hate it, at least it's really... thin, it's smaller. You're only gonna tell when they do the close-ups. It's not. I don't
Coyotes.
like it.
Not for all of them.
Coyotes.
Not for all of them.
Oh my god, some of the ones have been disgusting. So the Coyotes at least did it. I know it's because that's their biggest sponsor. So, but at least I like how skinny their logo is. So at least right up there, it's kind of off. You can almost kind of ignore it. It might blend in with the dark jersey, the white jersey. I have no idea. I haven't seen it yet. It should blend in a little more at least, but it's still there. Corporate logo. They're gonna want that front and center. At least it's not as big and gaudy and terrible as it could be. And I don't know if you saw this. Go ahead and do your opinion and then respond to this. Do that format. But
okay.
The little worthless trades decided to make a little article about the Coyotes jersey and the Coyotes jersey specifically, saying how embarrassing it is for the league because the Coyotes are the only team worth talking about. Because the Capitals have a sports book for theirs, but it's only disgusting when the Coyotes do it. I know the reasoning is because they think it's the Gila River Arena instead of Gila River Hotels and Casinos, but it's funny. I want to poke fun at that. I want to hear what you got to say about that too.
I didn't read the article. I just saw the headline. I'll be honest with you. Like many Americans, I only read the headline. No, I just didn't have the time. Usually I do read a lot of the articles that get put out about us. The just laughably stupid. You want to talk about hot dogs? Just these absolute hot dogs on the internet. So the raving joke is that they have an ad on their jersey that says Gila River Hotels and Casinos. Well, if you don't know, Gila River is an Indian community here in Arizona. It's south of Phoenix. It's a very predominant area. I mean, that's where they hosted the Coyotes draft party. Was at one of their arenas, or sorry, not their arenas, one of their casinos, which was Wild Horse Pass. So, the Coyotes have been very supportive of the casino. They sponsored them once the Jobbing.com name change happened when they went from Phoenix to Arizona Coyotes. It's been a good sponsorship for them. They even created a room in one of their hotels that you can stay the night in. That's all Coyotes themed. It's really neat. The really just absolutely mind-numbingly stupid stuff that is said on the internet just to like throw jabs at the Coyotes. So the joke was that LOL, the arena kicked them out, but they're also one of their main sponsors on their jersey. LOLOL. This is one of the stupidest arguments I have ever heard in my life. The Nashville Predators, I believe, play in Bridgestone Arena. Bridgestone is a tire company, right? Bridgestone tires. If the Nashville Predators had a jersey ad for Bridgestone and got kicked out of their arena, was it Bridgestone that kicked them out, or was it the owners of the goddamn arena?
Ooh, he's getting mad. He said, gosh darn.
I did. How stupid can you be that you see the name of the arena and go, those are the owners. LOL, they kicked them out, but they're also sponsoring them on their jersey. Like, just how mind-numbing stupid can you be? I'll let you in a little secret, because I'm sure the contrarians are not smart enough to understand. Gila River Arena was not owned by Gila River native, the native community. It was owned by a different company. Once the Coyotes left, Gila River Resorts and Casinos also left. They didn't want to be a part of it, and it got changed to Desert Diamond Casino, which is a different tribe, I believe. Desert Diamond, I think, is... I don't even want to try. It's a different tribe that has a casino. Why are people just so dumb? Just absolutely dumb.
It's desperation. Again, it comes to that's. I want anyone that listens to us, stop arguing with these people and just laugh at them, because they are obviously, clearly, so desperate for clicks, and the only team that gets them are the Coyotes. I've heard Canadian fans, the Coyotes don't get clicks for anything. Then why is it anytime there's anything around the Coyotes, be it small news, big news, good news with a negative slant, negative news with a more negative slant, why is it always pushed to the headlines, thrown out there immediately? Well, we're going to talk about in a second. You'll have a neutral tweet, and then the next day try to go with a more negative slant because you want more clicks, because only the Coyotes matter in this league.
Yep.
Because the thing is, if they were such a laughingstock, people wouldn't even pay them any mind. They would see a headline, they would laugh and move on, but everyone is so desperate to try to dunk on them because we live rent-free. So just keep laughing at them, because I see some people get even more mad when you just laugh at them. So just do that, move on. These people are idiots. Don't be like us. We have to click on the articles. We have to read them. We cover this stuff. We also want to be like as neutral as we can be, but also we want to make fun of it. It's good content. Don't give them the ad revenue. Don't give them the clicks. Just if you see it, move on.
Yep. Yeah, there's another one. So before we get into the next article that you were talking about, there was another thing that I saw on Twitter, which was somebody had rated, I think it was, it was a New Jersey Devils fan. It was the Brat Opinion. I don't remember. Something.
That kid's kind of funny. I mean,
he's great, and he was telling some truth. Like, let me be clear, the underlying is very true. But he was ranking his opinions on fan bases that are funny and people that are just not funny. And he had a sub comment in there that was like, Coyotes fans, you're the worst because y'all should be hilarious, but you're not. You aren't funny or something like that, you know. And it is kind of true. I do believe that as well. I feel like so many Coyotes fans have to be defensive, but there's a reason for that. There's a reason that we're so defensive online. It's because we're literally fighting for our existence. It's one thing to be the Philadelphia Flyers, who are secured in their market, who are definitely going to be around in the NHL for a long time, and go, haha, they suck right now, and make fun of all their misfortunes. It's another thing when every single comment, not every single, but the vast majority of comments against Arizona is, why are they still there? Just move the team. That's not very haha funny. And when so many Coyotes fans have to deal with that drama nonstop, we become extremely jaded and just super, super negative that, yeah, the ha-ha funny stuff, the ha-ha funny side, like Matt and I, it, it disappears out of a lot of people.
And, like, I was going to quote tweet that second part, not because, like, I felt offended, but because, like, I felt like I wanted to retort or add context. But I realized that as I was typing it up, I'm like, that literally just proves the point. So what I was going to say is, when we have to hear the same joke over and over again, it gets tiring. But, like, that's literally why. Like, that's literally the thing he is saying. So I'm like, I mean, I wasn't going to try to refute it, but, like, I still couldn't if I tried. Because literally, like, I'll even look at Coyotes fans I'm cool with, and I see a lot of them getting a little overly defensive, a little overly personal, doing a couple, like, I wouldn't say harassment, but I'd say, like, bordering on a little bit of a personal attack. And I'm like, I look at it like, just laugh at them. Just laugh at them. Make fun of their idea. Don't name call. Don't, like, make fun of them. Like, make fun of their idea. Because the ideas and the things they're saying are stupid. Make fun of that. Because you threw your idea out there, and it's literally the free market of whoever's going to look at it and agree with you or disagree. So, like, just have a little fun with it. But literally, that was one of the biggest truths. I just sat there, and I'm like, if I respond to that, I'm literally feeding into it. Like, I'm just proving the point.
Yeah, I ended up responding, and I tried to be very non-cynical about it and give my best explanation of why it is true. Like, it is true. I don't deny that one bit. I do feel like a lot of Coyote fans are very defensive on Twitter, but there's a reason for it. They're fighting for their existence. It's one thing to be from Philly, and you're not fighting for your existence if you're from Philly. You're fighting because you want to have a good time. The Coyotes are like, we're on the front lines battling to keep our team here, So
it's been that way at least as long as I've been a fan. So it's like, then again, also out of it, I got to laugh at a bunch of other people that were like, oh, like they'll be gone in 5 years. They'll be playing somewhere else. I'm like, bro, like I haven't been hearing that since 2007.
I know.
And like all that does is make them more mad.
Yep. They were very close too. They were very close to be going to Portland.
I know. Portland? Yep.
Yeah.
You tell me about that, Portland.
Mm-hmm. I don't know personally the insides, but I know that Steve Peters on PHNX, who was the video coach for 20 years, like internally they said start looking for houses in Portland, and it was very close for the team to end up in Portland. So it doesn't surprise me. Like, that's why we're we're battling. We're on a holy crusade to keep the team here. Okay.
It's like you can go ahead and say I'm snuffing my own farts. Say that's fine. Huffing. I don't know what I just said. Anyway, huffing
snuffing?
Your own farts. Sorry.
You're snuffing?
What? No.
You're snuffing them out, apparently?
You could say I'm huffing my own farts here, but like I don't know how I'm as like non-serious about it as you were around for the original like 2018, 2019 part, like me running my channel. I was pretty cynical. I was like heavily critical and everything. Like I had high expectations. I want the team to do well. But, like I don't know how I became the optimist because like even in the face of like actual bad news, I'm like, we got this. Hey, this is going our way. Hey, at least we can turn it around. Like, when the hell did that happen? How the hell did that happen?
It was the literal and figurative notion of being locked in the closet. Because if you guys don't know, Matt used to record out of his closet. I remember you one video you tried to come out of the closet and record outside of it, and you went, I don't like the audio out here, and you went back into the closet.
I remember, I don't care what video it was, but like, I remember one dude was like, this dude is literally in a closet, and I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Where else am I going to record? There was a nice little bookshelf or little shelving right there. Put my phone down on it. I had a little notebook, some jerseys or whatever in the back, and I'm like, let's do this.
Yep. It was great sound. It was soundproof to all perfection right there. The next article that we're going to talk about that came out sparked a little bit of controversy, but not enough to get any interest. And so the next day it had to be re-sparked up with a little bit more cynicism. Would you like to prelude to what I'm talking about here?
Yeah, I would. So we have some hack, wannabe journalists. And I know Craig Morgan kind of like stuck up for him a little bit in the comments, like, oh, he's normally not this way, or normally not like that archetype, but like he's a pretty hack journalist if you're gonna follow it up knowing your article flopped or didn't do as well and try to re-spark it. But Article comes out. Hey, the Coyotes are reporting. Their season ticket numbers are up by 50%, and it's like, yeah, and the arena they're in, it should be 4,700. The article, I think it said, hadn't been finalized. This is like anywhere between the 5,000 and like 4,500. But everything that I saw was finalized at 47. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I can admit that. But
I mean, Gutierrez, the CEO, has said that multiple times, and if anybody's going to be the most truthful about the final numbers, it's probably going to be the CEO.
Probably, I would hope, because if he lied, I would assume that the NHL could take any sort of, like, even if it's a minor action against, like, lying for bad PR. Like, I'm pretty sure that's a thing they're allowed to do. Probably. So it wouldn't be worth it. But so it's up 50%, and it's like the arena they're in is about a third the size. Because I remember my dad saying it was like 16.5, and like 17 with standing room. It's like 17,125 at Gila River. So it's literally about a third the size. Season ticket sales are up 50%. Yeah, hear the lame jokes. Oh, so it was 4, and now it's 6, whatever. Haha. But it's like it shows immediately to me. You read that, regardless of the situation, regardless of how we got here, the market demand is being met. Because these prices, everyone has been knocking on them for a while. And look, I'll fully admit, I'm looking at single game prices. I can't afford them. Like 220 or 190 between there was the lowest I found, and then my mother-in-law was going to buy tickets to a Calgary game for my brother-in-law, and there's like $70 in fees, $30 to park. Like it's expensive. We all knew it was going to be, because the season ticket numbers were expensive, and that's a discounted rate. So I can't even afford to go unless my wife gets student tickets. Thankfully, she's a student. Yeah. Right. So I can fully understand like that it's expensive, but the fact that the market demand is not only there, the market is actually responding and buying them, and the numbers are going up, despite the fact that I've at least seen probably a few dozen season ticket holders saying that they can't afford it from the start of these prices being released. Let's just say that I'm not reading everyone, or not everyone speaking up. Let's just triple that. You've probably lost hundreds of people that would have been season ticket holders. And the numbers are still up. Like, that, to me, there is no negative spin. There is just, okay, so what we've been saying for years, you go to the East Valley, where the money is at, where the bulk of the market demand is there.
The lower bowl season ticket holders are too. Mm-hmm. That's the other thing.
Literally, like, you go there, that's like Business 101. Hey, we want to, we have a market we want to hit. Where's the best place we can go serve that market? Right there. And immediately, not only have we had all those sections for season tickets sell out, the most expensive ones went first, yada yada. Of course, you had the joke of corporations are going to buy them up and give them away for free, which corpos only do like certain tax write-off stuff, but you're not going to be buying up $300 tickets in bulk and giving them away. That wouldn't even make sense for a big corporation. I'm sorry.
Well, they do that, but at the same time, what does it matter? The money's being paid.
True. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me for them to do that, like, for this specifically, because if you do it at, like, a basketball game of full arena, it makes more sense. You can buy, like, almost an entire section in the upper bowl, give it away. That's a huge tax write-off and better PR and whatnot than just a few tickets here. So I don't see the trade-off making sense. But corporations will buy some of them. I'm not going to deny that. Like, all of this combined, it's still, the revenues are going up. Like they said, the statistical likelihood we could reach anywhere near profitability is higher than pretty much it's ever been, considering the market, considering everything surrounding this team. And remember, they were bottom 2 in the league last year. They were awful. They were winless for the first, month and a half? The first, 13 or 11 games, whatever it was. Like, they literally were terrible. And they still expect to sell out. They're on track to sell out. They've sold out almost all their available season tickets. And even with these terribly high prices, which, again, I completely understand for people that are poor, people like me, I completely level with you. And they still are having the numbers go up. I don't see how there's a negative slant there. Except for, how come they didn't build in the East Valley sooner? How come they didn't go to the East Valley sooner? Why were they even messing around with Glendale? Oh, Glendale was the problem. The location was the bulk of the problem. I don't get how you can slant that. Richie, I think I've done enough context and groundwork for you. What happened the next day?
So, next day, the reporter that we're talking about, I should give some context here, is Greg Wyshynski of ESPN. I do actually respect him quite a bit. I know you like to spark up the dramas, but I do respect him a bit for his national coverage. But you know, he gives out a pretty positive light to the Coyotes. Probably doesn't get enough clicks for ESPN's like. So next day he spins it and relinks the article with a much different look on the tweet. More of a cynical side to it. I actually can't remember off the top of my head exactly what he said. I'm actually going to try to pull it up real quick. But essentially it was something kind of along the lines of like, why are the Coyotes making this much money? Like almost cynical.
But
about
off the top of my head, it was, they say the season ticket numbers are up 50%, but they're in an arena 1/3 the size. And I saw that parroted a few times. So, like, that's like the paraphrase. He's going to get the exact quote, but that's kind of how the slant was. Where it's literally, like, they're trying to communicate with that headline, this doesn't add up, or there could be some dishonesty here. That's what it's supposed to make you think when you're reading it, and it's supposed to feed into the negative slant, because there were the jokes, there were the negativity in the previous tweet from the previous day, which people are going to have their opinion. That's your opinion. I can make fun of you, you can still have it, but
here we go.
You got the tweet? Go ahead.
Yep. So the Arizona Coyotes claim their season ticket revenue has grown 50% since leaving the 17,000-seat NHL arena for a 5,000-seat one on a college campus. Shrug emoji.
Literally, like, feeding into that negativity. And again, you know what? Instead of me re-explaining it, Richie, you're the normal person. You read that. What is that headline trying to make you feel? What is it trying to tell you?
To me, it sounds very insulting. Now, you could read the silver lining and going like, oh, maybe he's just being like the devil's advocate. Like, oh, he's talking about, look, everybody, they are being successful. They're up 50%, and like he's trying to be the devil's advocate. But to me, it sounds like a jab for some reason. Like, why would you put like the preface it on 17,000 seat arena, NHL arena for a college campus? Like, it just seems very cynical to me.
And also, if anything, once again, call me the optimist, whatever. How can you read that and like not immediately think, so they're making more at a college arena than the NHL arena? What was wrong with the last arena? Like, what were the issues there? That's what it should like lead you. Like, but again, I'm the internal, like the eternal optimist. I have no idea how I host a podcast, and I'm an idiot, but that's what it says to me. But I also, if I read it as a regular person, I know it's written in a way to like make you, is there something going on here? Is there something sus? Is there, maybe a couple fibs being told? The story don't add up, sis.
I really quickly wanted to do some numbers here, so I pulled up my calculator. I just want to do some comparables for the math and why the Coyotes are saying that they're pretty close with revenue and why they think that it'll be as profitable, if not slightly more profitable, at the college arena, and why their season ticket prices have increased, or why their season ticket revenue has increased. So just to quickly do some quick maths here, I ran the numbers, okay, and here's my basic numbers. My first calculation was, let's figure out how many seats are sold between the NHL arena and the college arena. So last year they averaged about 10,000 in attendance, I believe, if my memory serves me.
It was just under 11. Just under.
Okay. So for this one, I just did 10,000. I can redo the maths if need be. But I did 10,000 times 41, which is 41 home games, right? That's how many home games you'll have. That's roughly about 410,000 seats they sold last year, roughly. I mean, it's probably more because, like you said, the attendance was a little bit higher. Okay, of that 410,000 seats sold, I did a pretty generous number of $70 per ticket. I think it was lower than that. I want to say it was like 60.
I got tickets for $25 each in the upper bowl.
Yeah,
the lower bowl tickets were comparable to like still lesser than everywhere else in the league. for like the majority of the games, majority of the season. I'm just trying to help you out with more like additional context.
Yeah, so I did an average of $70 a ticket, which I believe is it's probably a little bit lower. That comes out to a revenue of roughly, gross of $28,700,000. Okay? Now we look at the comparable in the college arena. So we have 4,700 seats, which is what they're going for, times 41 games. How many home games? That's 192,700 seats sold, projected next year. At that number, times what is the average ticket price of $150 per ticket, the math comes out to $28,905,000. So roughly, these are rough numbers. The gross is almost identical. The difference is that they make $200,000 extra with these numbers in dollars. But the other thing is that your upkeep is even less. Because remember, you don't have two bowls. You don't need as much staffing. It's a newer building, so the temperature is going to be insulated better. Newer piping, newer technology to keep all this stuff going. Yeah, I really do believe they're probably going to make more money at this arena than they would have if they stayed in Glendale dealing with a half full barn. Here's the other thing, too. Sorry, I know I'm monologuing here quite a bit. I'll let you get in right after this. Another thing, too, I tweeted this out. I'm pounding my fist down, and I'm going to keep saying this. I know that the NHL Players Association isn't happy about a college arena, an NHL team playing in a college arena. I think that a lot of NHL players, when they come in as away teams, are going to be a little bit more surprised when you go from playing in a half-full stadium in Glendale that's extremely quiet. I went to 20 of those games. I can tell you, if it wasn't like an original six team, games are pretty quiet. They're very mellow because that's just the way it is. When you have a half-full barn, the atmosphere is just different. It just is. When you're in a full barn, it's way more exciting. When you're going to go from a half-full stadium to a smaller venue that is going to be packed and is going to be loud, it's going to be next to campus, so you're going to have rowdy college students there. You're going to have at least 400 students that are going to be sitting there rallying like they do in college. I think it's going to be a better experience. I think players are going to realize that right now, as of where it is, as long as the revenues are identical, comparable, right, building to building, the smaller building is going to be the more fun place to play.
Mm-hmm. And my favorite thing is just to try to address a couple small arguments. The same idiots are still there. Oh, well, college kids can't afford those prices. The student section's a thing. And I think in one of the articles they confirmed prices will range between $25 and $50. I'm assuming as you get closer, it's more expensive, or for more expensive games. ASU, I don't know if you know this. A lot of rich kids go there as well, meaning even the $25 anyone can afford. But even if it went up to, let's just say, about $75 a ticket, which it's not, as long as these numbers that they confirmed are accurate and they aren't just fluffing us. Literally, kids are going to be in there. They're going to be rowdy. That one little rookie game that I went to that's in Scottsdale, so not quite Tempe, but it's closer over there, literally had some rowdy college kids over on the glass. Every time Logan Cooley touched the puck, we talked about it around then, they're all screaming. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and I'm going to kind of miss the one in Glendale because growing up there, I would say I probably have more of a chill personality, so it's I kind of like things being a little more mellow, but the problem is I can have my own personal, I valued this, I liked this, it was cool, and also recognize for a sports building, that's not what you want. For a sports building, you want electric. And the playoff games, there's a reason they stick out to me. There's a reason those whiteouts, just looking around and seeing the energy, feeling the energy and seeing the excitement, seeing everything. There's a reason that sticks out so much, was because even if I didn't realize it, because again, my personality is a little different, Like, that is objectively better. And you can't tell me they didn't help. If the Coyotes were struggling a little bit, that didn't help to rally them a bit. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. And that's why, like, you have so many teams that love their fan bases. They're like, hey, we have the greatest fans out there because, like, they'll fill that barn. It'll be packed. It'll be loud. Say what you want about Vegas. I sure say a lot of things about Vegas. But their barn gets loud, and it's always filled. I know they've always had a good team except for last year, but it's always filled. There's passionate hockey fans there. It's like, I can't wait till... No matter what, you're going to see that over here in ASU. And then another one, these numbers aren't sustainable. Even a big YouTuber, I consider him an acquaintance, but I'm going to keep the name out because I don't want to actually like look like I'm throwing shade. But it's a really big, mostly like football YouTuber. It's like, it's not sustainable. Let's do some basic math. It's a 3 to 4 year contract while an arena is being built. Yep. Yes. Like I said from the start, I will reiterate one more time here. I'll do it 100 times if I have to. If this was their solution, like, we don't need the new arena, we're just going to go play at ASU, I would agree it's an embarrassment. I would agree people's heads need to roll. People need to be fired. The team needs to relocate if that's the best you got. I would be on your side 110%. But this was literally, we're going to go off to college for a few years while we're saving up for that house. It's literally what they're doing right now. Like, so I just, it's not sustainable. It's not meant to be. Yep. But the fact that they're going to be bringing in similar revenues off less than half of total tickets, from the 400K to just under 200K, and that's again just rough numbers. You cannot look at that and try to slant it negatively because they're literally making about the same, projected to make about the same in an arena a third the size. What are you like? And the money's coming in.
Yeah, and for people who say that it's not sustainable, you're an idiot. Sorry. Like, demand always... Like, your cost to demand always goes up. Like, when you have less of something, the cost will always go up. That's just economics 101. And... like, if you're sitting there going, okay, but yeah, this team sucks, and people are going to get sick of paying these prices, and they're going to quit paying them, I'll let you on a little secret. People have a lot more money than they do sense. All right? I'll let you in a little another secret here. I don't hide the fact that I'm a partial season ticket holder. Okay? I'm not full season. I just don't have the time. With the way I work, I just don't have the time. But with that being said, the reason why I'm a half-season ticket holder with my father and my wife is because it's the only time that I can physically put down on my work and go, this is time that I want to dedicate to spending time with my dad. My dad ain't getting any younger, okay? I think he's in his 60s, almost 70s. I don't know. It's been I don't even know what his age is, but he's getting old, okay? I know that I need to spend time with him. I just don't, like, when I get off of work, I'm like, I'm not going to drive over to his house and spend time with him. But this allows me to dedicate time to going and spending time with my dad, doing something in a common interest that we enjoy. I'm going to keep paying those prices because I enjoy it. I don't care if the team sucks. I got to watch Trevor Zegras go pull off a freaking Michigan. How many other of you can say that? I got to watch Nick Schmaltz put up 7 points. How many other of you can say that? Right? You can too, yeah. I'm saying this not because I'm trying to insult people, like insult people's intelligence, but there will always be people that are going to go spend that money, even on a losing product for the time being, because I get to go watch and have fun time with my family and spend time with them. That is what I'm trying to say. That is the most important thing to me. And I don't care if there's a winning product. I don't even remember. We were season ticket holders for, goodness gracious. It was, okay, so we started with America West Arena. We started, I think, 1 year before they moved out. Started our season tickets. Previously, we were just game to game before that time because I was really young. This was like, I was like less than 4 years old, right? Or whatever. After that, they moved out to Glendale, and my dad and I, we made that journey out there for a long time, a very, very long time. And this was before Glendale even had anything relevant out there. It was just a building and then the mothership sitting next to it. All right. Yeah. It like we've been there. We've been there when there was like 3,000 to 4,000 people sitting in the seats, and we were wondering if the team was going to be moved to Winnipeg, or not Winnipeg, but Manitoba, I think it was, or whatever. The Blackberry guy tried to buy the team.
Wasn't that Hamilton? Is Hamilton
Maybe
in
Hamilton.
Ontario?
I don't. Somewhere
I think it
in
was Hamilton, like Bulldogs or something.
yeah, somewhere in that area. I just remember the Blackberry guy was trying to buy the team, and when that was going on, nobody was going except for like maybe 2,000-3,000 people. We've been there for the better or worse. All right, so I'll let you in a little secret. If we haven't given up since then, we're not going to give up now that we get to go spend time in ASU in a rowdy arena when our drive went from an hour per day, just there, to like less than 20 minutes. Literally, our drive is less than 20 minutes. Like, yeah, I'll take that all day of the week.
And on top of that, like, I personally, mainly because like the YouTube thing, I prefer to just watch it at home because that's like, I don't have to wear pants. I can get my own food, and it's cheaper. Booze is cheaper.
You can wear your shirtless jerseys, or your sleeveless jerseys.
Take my notes, get right. If I have to go to work the next day, get right on recording. But it's like, but the games I get to go to, like for Doan's retirement, I found a way to buy that ticket. I think I think that was when I was working at like Village Inn or something. Like I was not working a good job, and I was like, I'm going to find a way to go to that because that's an experience. And as much as I possibly can when it comes to like being able to afford it, just kind of being free that night because sometimes you get busy. But it's like every time I can, it's still fun to go. That's why for the most part I was like vlogging everything. It's like the experience is worth it for a lot of people. And just for another smaller example, side tangent because I'm a freaking loser. This is a $15 like LOB Blue Eyes. I'm never gonna put this into a deck because I just wanted to have it. This is a Charizard I can't use anymore because it rotated out. Just because the artwork was cool. People will spend money on things just because they want to experience it. They want to have it in a collection, like a lot of these jerseys. It's people do it for different reasons, and if that's something that you're down with, like, hey, you like going to all of the games and you're willing to pay the prices because that's worth it to you, it's like, yeah, I do agree, like, the prices are high, but that's just kind of a necessary evil right now. I don't blame people that are willing to pay them. I know this is a huge side tangent. I know I had to find another way to be a loser and put some dragons on screen. But that's how it goes on the Desert Moon Hockey Podcast, I suppose. Please stand up. Please clap. Oh, there goes Slifer and Spanish Red Eyes. Thank you. But it's literally useless. I cannot use it in a tournament. I was still like, I'll trade a rainbow card that I'm not going to use for this because it's cool. It's a dragon. Go over there.
Oh, all right. As for the people who say that it's not sustainable, there's a reason why their revenues are up. It's because the vast majority of their lower bowl season ticket holders are on that side of town. That's just the truth. Glendale is more of a blue collar working place. It's, a lot more construction, physical labor type stuff. The Chandler, Scottsdale, Tempe area, it's all white collar. You're talking about people who make six-figure incomes consistently on that side of town. That's the reason why they can afford those. And, it's the sad truth. I hate to do it to my Glendale brethren over there, but, it's just the truth. There is more money on that side of the town, and that's why you see these sales going up, because people are willing to go watch garbage hockey. They're not willing to waste an hour of their time, driving each way to go watch garbage hockey. I think I don't want to mess up these numbers, but I'm going to try to assess. I think it was Craig Morgan who said that 75% of their lower bowl season ticket holders are on the east side of town. I think it's 75%. That is astronomical.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, just to kind of try to get one more like smaller translation here. So like that $15 card that I bought that I just wanted to have for the collection. All right, to me, $15 not that big of a sacrifice, not that big of a cost. and I'm not making a lot of money. I went to part time because I wanted more time for YouTube. I'd be lucky if I made 20,000 in a year. If someone's making 125K, that is probably the equivalent of like spending $50. Like honestly, like to us. So it's like
Well, yeah,
more money than sense, varying values to different people. Different people value things differently. To me, right now, $100, kind of a lot of money. To someone making 125K, that's probably $10.
Yep. Yep. Very true. Very true. I mean,
so as
well,
long
what
as
is it
the
like?
team's gonna stay here.
Was it $10,000, right, for a ticket, for a season ticket?
Oh yeah, no,
Like
it
a
was
seat?
it was stupid. Like yeah,
Yeah.
one seat
So
for the season.
okay, so like incomparable. Like let's say you make $20,000 a year, that's half your income. To somebody who makes $120,000 a year, that's less than a tenth of their income, right? Just to give comparables of how drastically different those numbers are.
So it's like that's why again, like this wouldn't work. Like if ASU, like their West Campus, that's where the building was, it wouldn't work because it's still too far away. Even though it's a little closer, it's still too far away. Still in more like a blue collar area. It just would not work. It works because it's in the East Valley, and it's like yeah, this went from like dogging on it and like joking around and like getting some frustrations out to, at least in my opinion, trying to provide as much context as possible and trying to just explain it and trying to, like, lack of a better term, educate, even though I'm probably the biggest idiot on the podcasting network that we're not on. But, like, at the very least, I hope this, like, gives some sort of value and, like, puts it into some context because, like, we can make fun of it, we can be mad, we can be frustrated, but at the end of the day, you don't convince people by, calling them idiots. You convince people by actually trying to explain it to the best of your ability and, like, actually be willing to see both sides. Like, yeah, I understand it's expensive, but, like, when it's only 4,700 seats, it's like if 11,000 people want to go, there's literally less than half of that number that are available.
Yep.
Supply, demand, markets, free market capitalism, lol. It's kind of all you get.
Yep. So, yeah, don't be surprised if you see the next 3 years it's going to be consistently like this. Sorry for the contrarians to hate on it, but, I mean, I don't see my opinions changing unless there's some real, like, gross negligence on the Coyotes' end for whatever reason. I don't know. Like, I don't really know what would cause me to not support the team. And, like, it would have to be, like, a complete and utter, like Blizzard style, implosion within the corporation. I don't know if you don't know who Blizzard is, they produced World of Warcraft and they're a big game company and they are imploding within because of allegations of, I think it's sexual assault and sexual abuse. So, yeah.
Gotta love when big corpos just try to cover that stuff up. I have no problem using our podcast, it's a hockey podcast, to be like, hey, covering up sexual assault is bad, Chicago Blackhawks. Anyway, speaking of gross negligence, speaking of just terrible gross negligence, I hope I'm using the word right, we have a representative in Tempe.
Yes, we do. So I believe it is
Did you read the article?
I read a little bit of it. I didn't have time because of I was in the middle of working. But I did open it and read, I think, like a paragraph or a paragraph and a half. But
it's the funniest thing.
A chairman for the city of Tempe wrote an op-ed at AZ Central talking about how the deal with the Arizona Coyotes in Tempe is not good and should be not done, pretty much. She's one of the chairmen who voted against it when they wanted to continue on with the deal. Also, I don't know if this is legal, but she was also talking about how, like, the deal has stalled with Tempe. Like, are you allowed to publicly state that if you're a part of the...
Theoretically, because she would be considered a civil servant and it would be, like, in the public's interest, I think there is some sort of wiggle room there, but I can also equally see how there wouldn't be. Like, it's really, like, in my mind, from my limited understanding, politics are fun as a meme, but, like, I don't truly understand every single bit of minutia.
Mm-hmm.
Again, hope I'm using that word right. But there has to be some
right.
sort of wiggle room or gray area because it's like an op-ed.
Public
But if
servant.
it's
Yeah.
stalled and you're using that language specifically, and they're from what the Coyotes were saying at that meeting, we already know how the deal's going to work. They want like the property tax still gets collected. Again, this is just from what I understood of the explanation when I was there. Property
Mm-hmm.
tax gets collected, but either all of it or most of it would then just get rerouted to paying for this building, and it, in my mind, makes sense because without them buying it, they wouldn't be getting property tax on the land, and it's just there to help pay for all of it, so that way none of it goes on the actual taxpayers, because that would still be the Coyotes themselves like paying into
Yeah.
property tax, but that would just be rerouted. That's
I could
from my understanding.
I could be wrong, but it's not even paying for it. It's for the upkeep of it. So, like, the importance of like a building. Let's say you take on a project. You know, it's a building that you're going to be in for 30 years, right? Well, by the end of that 30 years, this building's usually worn out, run down, old, out of date, piece of crap. That's why, like, people will say historically, like, arenas don't make money. They'll never make money. Because when you spend $500 million on a building and then it never makes that amount back in tax revenues, on top of that, you're also having to pay for demoing it, repairing it, whatever you need to do after that 30 years. The goal of the tax is to essentially keep it upkeep so that after 30 years, if the Coyotes choose to relocate or go to somewhere else, after those 30 years, that building isn't just going to be a worn down, out of date piece of crap. The tax money would go into updating it, keeping it clean, making it look better, doing renovations, whatever.
So it's like, just from what I understand, it's just supposed to be like self. I forget what the term is, but essentially it's all supposed to keep itself going. That's just from how I understand it. Same thing with like the additional tax they want to put on it. So everything you buy there at the hotel, anything you buy there at the arena, your ticket price, every single thing will have that additional fee. And they want, again, I think it's a significant portion of that to, again, be rerouted to help pay for all the project. But again, that should also, from how I understand it, be separate from the actual like standard sales tax. So the state, county, and city should all still get their slice there. I understand the basic argument for like, oh, but they're not going to be getting as much, they're not going to be seeing as much, but the Coyotes are still paying for all of this, except for what they asked for up front, honestly, with the renovations, right? So it's like, again, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, because a lot of this politics stuff, like I now know why people go into college for it, but it's layman's, like, it's literally kind of just feeding into itself, and it in no way, shape, or form should be actually meaningfully impacting any taxpayer, because it's just whatever is in this system, not outside of it, not from the residents, not from their property tax, nothing like that.
Yeah, it's a closed loop system is what you're looking for.
Closed loop, thank you.
Yeah, so it's a closed loop system, meaning that none of your money is going to go towards it if you're a resident of Tempe. And guess what? If the building wasn't there, it wouldn't be making money anyways because it's a landfill. So that's the implications, is that would you rather have landfill where they throw the Phoenix Zoo poop from the animals in, or would you rather have a multi-billion-dollar project sitting on the lake that is not a lake yet, making money, passive money? That's the idea. Jobs.
I think that there is an
like
argument to be made where it's like, hey, maybe not a significant portion should go back to this. That way, more money still going to the city of Tempe in tax revenue. I completely understand that. I hope throughout negotiations more money can go throughout Tempe, so that way, again, there's more of an actual reason to do so, because how this theoretically should work is Tempe benefits relatively little, like, in the grand scheme. They're still getting, again, that tax money from, like, shopping there and whatnot, but they're benefiting, relatively little with, like, property tax and whatnot. So it's like, give them a little more to benefit from. Put a little bit more into the community, stuff like that. Completely understand that. I hope that does happen. All right, but if they have stalled out, I do kind of want to touch base on that a little bit later, because it feeds into a thought process I have that actually does bring me a legitimate concern. But for this article, I just want to get back to the piece itself. Yeah. It's laughable. Like I still might do a video like breaking it down, but I was gonna make a video making fun of it, and I'm like, I quote tweeted, I'm like, look, that feels like punching down. It's just hilariously terribly written, because like, oh, she's asking the real questions. Another person, I think it was the AZ Central producer or editor that retweeted it. It's like, oh, she's asking the real questions. What questions? It was literally the same question of, oh, do you want to reward the behavior with Glendale? Just asked, I think, 2 different ways. But other than that, it was just really passive-aggressive, snide remarks. It was very charged language. Where it's like, oh, the irresponsible... Paraphrase, because I don't have the article in front of me. All paraphrase. It was like their irresponsible behavior, or like that they're bad faith actors. Like, all of that, literally in a way to like, hey, they're bad guy. Morello, bad guy. Neutral on him. He might be a bit of a bad guy. I don't know. But, Murillo, bad guy. Coyotes, bad guy. It's trying to make you, like... feel that once again it's just manipulative writing.
Yeah, villainize.
It feels like a fourth grader wrote it, and like again it felt like punching down. So it's like I don't know how. I know it's an op-ed, so it doesn't have to adhere to certain journalistic standards or even any really, but it's like it's so ridiculously biased to where it's like it earns opinion piece because it's a really like tanky opinion or stupid. I don't know why I use tanky. I like tank like sports team. I don't think I used that term properly. I apologize.
No, you definitely did not.
Cut that if you want. But what's even like more hilarious is on all of the retweets, like they just got flamed on the Facebook account. They just got flamed. Everyone's like hating on it as they should because it's funny. Like it's a really terrible article. So I'm like, who are you trying to convince? You got a couple people like, oh, they shouldn't waste their money on this. Like, but they're not really spending their money on it. Like I agree with the blanket statement. As a general rule, governments should not be spending their money on sports teams. Like general rule, completely agree. But the thing is, this is like what 95% all on the Coyotes. However, it works out, or like 90%, if not a little higher. So it's like argument falls apart, and it's funny.
So the biggest like the money that the taxpayers are going to lose on is that the Coyotes are asking for a little bit of money to remediate the land. That's the biggest chunk, and it's like 20 or 40 mil, something like that. That's a big chunk of money for obviously a city to put down, but at the same time, once again, it's a landfill. This is land that they have to remediate. It's not just you can slap a building on top of that land and call it good. You can't put buildings on top of trash. You have to get rid of them. Ask California. And the reason I say that, I'm pretty sure I brought this up too. And, I say that a long time ago, but I say that so often, but a long time ago, I believe it was California, where they put essentially housing community on top of an old landfill. Earthquake came around, demolished all the buildings, and it's like a perfect grid of where the landfill was, and all those houses were destroyed, but all the other ones were intact. Because essentially when the earth shakes, and you've got garbage under there, it's slippy slidey, and it'll cause some real bad foundational problems.
So there's a lot wrong with it. The article is laughably bad. I look at it, I'm like, you're so she's a representative of some kind. I forget what you said her exact title is. Please repeat.
I think she's a chairman. Like, she's a part of the council, essentially. She's and
that's an elected position, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, like, to me, it feels kind of like Lauren Kuby level of, like, posturing. Like, she wasn't even going to be around for the negotiations, but she's like, oh, this question, that question. But when you actually, like, break it down, it's like the conversation we're having here is whether or not to negotiate, not whether or not to approve the project. And she's asking questions as if, like, we're just approving the project right now, like, outright. It's like, It has really big, like, I have higher political aspirations energy, where it's like, oh, I'm just going to, I look like I'm taking a stand, or I look like I'm saying something meaningful, when it's like, it's all just laughable. If you actually, like, look at it, and I try to make myself as unbiased as I can. There is a bias regardless, but I try. I put in that effort. I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, it's just funny. Because it's really bad.
Yep. Yeah, it's sad. And then there's the parts about, like, oh, look at what they did to Glendale. Glendale, just take a hard look at what the Coyotes did to Glendale. And it's like, the Coyotes desperately wanted for it to work in Glendale. They signed a 15-year lease with Glendale back in 2013. 2 years later, Glendale voids the lease, and there was good grounds for a lawsuit to take place by the Coyotes because the grounds in which they voided it were pretty bad faith. You know, there's a reason why. It's a perfect analogy of kid brings basketball, you know, which basketball is team. Kid brings basketball to court, and you start playing with him, and then you elbow him in the face, and he starts crying and wants to leave. And you're like, whoa, why are you taking the basketball away? You know, it's like, yeah, no duh, the Coyotes wanted to leave Glendale. And, you know, while they're on the way out, you got Glendale defecating and throwing it at them as they're leaving the basketball court, okay?
And then literally, again, as it was reported, and I know it, either this gets ignored or it's like it's just unknown because no one knows how to report the whole story. There was anywhere between a 15 and 20-year lease, like, demand Glendale wanted, because they knew the Coyotes were looking to go to the East Valley, and they wanted to, like, lock them in for as long as possible. They didn't want to just be left with that arena. Like, they literally, like, even when they Gutierrez was talking about the moving to Tempe, if you even look at his quote, he even said, you know, they wanted a long-term lease. Whenever they first, you know, announced they were going to end the lease, Gutierrez, like, his first comment was, you know, I hope, you know, that we can go back to the negotiating table, because, again, this is all just a big, stupid negotiating tactic, because would you want to sign a 15, 20-year lease with someone that not only voided your last lease, but also, you know, it doesn't work, and you know it's going to be better spent to go to the East Valley, where you can actually turn a profit? So it's like, there are so many things wrong with the Glendale analogy, and on top of that, once again, this is all alleged, because I couldn't find, like, any like news articles to, like, back it up, but people that I know that were very close to the spring training facility are like, the Dodgers and White Sox only pay like $1 in rent, and that could be hyperbole, but the fact that they don't pay very much, and if they try to renegotiate, the Dodgers, who are the big money cow there, would just go somewhere else and probably get a better deal anyway. So it's like, the Glendale has a history of not being very good with negotiating. They're pretty bad overall. Like, they're kind of a joke of a city. It's like, yeah, that original investment to keep them there, I can give them credit for that, but, like, everything else has just been, like, laughably bad. And to say, like, Glendale's like the victim and everything, like, or at least portray it as if, like, oh, you want to, you know, reward this kind of behavior? It's like, so they entered a negotiating tactic. Hey, we want a 5-year lease or whatever. They wanted 3 to 5, whatever it would have ended up being, but they wanted a short term. But we do want to get rid of the year by year, because it's not working. It's not sustainable. It's not very you know, good for security. So let's try to get them to go short. Glendale wanted long. Coyotes very clearly like, we'll just not pay him for a while, and Glendale will be like, okay, we'll go back to a short thing. They forgot they're messing with the tax man, because it's a pretty stupid move, but plausible deniability was a clerical error. Come on now. They go ahead and run the money right over because they did have the money. It wasn't because they couldn't afford it. Like, you don't go drop off big checks if you can't cash them. So it's literally that situation's a lot more gray. And if I don't know if it's just because I'm familiar with, like, how corporate politics works, because it's entertaining to me. But, like, if you read the statements, you can read between the lines. You can see the evidence. You can see how many reports are consistent with a lot of this. Literally, like, it was bad faith from Glendale. And you can argue stupid and bad faith from the Coyotes as well. Yeah, there's grounds to argue that, but it's weird to portray it as, like, black and white.
I mean, you want to talk about... oh, goodness. I can't remember who said this. It's somebody on PHNX. I can't remember. It's either Craig or Steve Peters, who mentioned, like, Glendale, when they put out that hit piece for them not paying their taxes, Glendale still had the old address and phone number of the previous ownership of Ice Arizona, right? Like, how are you going to say, oh, they're dodging us and not paying us, when you don't even have the right address to send them, like, the letter saying, hey, you're late, right? Like, I don't know. Just seems real sussy to me that you immediately go to one of the bigger hit piece writers against the Coyotes to immediately start complaining about the lack of tax money that you're getting from them as, like, some sort of way to muddy the waters against them. But you're not even going through, like, the actual channels to collect that money in good faith, because you don't even have the right address.
And then like you have elected officials writing like, 14-year-old ex, like breakup notes or midnight texts where you're like trying to get back at an ex or something. Like it's a really bad look. And like I know this slight political commentary, modern politics is bad, but like literally it's such a bad look, like hilariously bad. So I just look, the Coyotes are not without fault. I criticize them from the start. I have no problem doing that because you should if you love something or you see something sus, call it out, right? But I don't know how you could draw that conclusion. I don't know how you could like write this really stupid article in like the worst possible way, and how you could like call it black and white when there was so many shades of gray. Pretty much, the Coyotes and Glendale were a toxic relationship. They were not an abusive relationship. They were not X partner is abusing Y partner. It's literally X and Y are a toxic couple that every night throw beer bottles at each other, and then there's a couple holes in the wall or something. Like it was bad from both sides. Like that's what it is.
Yep. Let's see. We are approaching the 1 hour mark. I think we already surpassed it. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about quickly?
Talk about so remember how she said in the article that talks had stalled, which just to potentially calm down any Coyotes fans and potentially ruin the day of non-Coyotes fans. That doesn't mean that the talks are over. Negotiations stall all the time. We all knew it was going to be a long process.
Contract.
It wasn't going to be, a 1 month thing, right? So
yeah.
It's like literally, it's stalling out means, okay, we'll call you again in a week. Hey, we'll schedule another meeting in 2 weeks. Like, we'll take a little bit of time to review everything and come back with new offers. If they say something like, are getting ready to be like terminated or they're at like a breaking point, that's when you actually should pay attention. Right now, stalled out shouldn't mean much. But with the recent news that Shane Doan is stepping back from the organization, he's still an employee, he's still going to be working with them as much as he can. And I understand the family aspect. I don't know him personally, so all I can do is look at the publicly available information. I think his daughter also goes to ASU. Josh is playing for ASU. Gives him more time to spend with his family.
Yeah.
Completely understandable. And I don't know him personally. There could be something else. But one thing that stuck out to me, and I tried to get some context. Nothing ended up really coming of it, but the one response kind of almost solidified the thought going into it, and that's the only thing I'm going to say about any of that, is that Doan's comments after the council meeting of he really hopes this is his last one. Like, he wants it all to be over. He was exhausted, and I think I mentioned it in the video. I hope I did, but that stuck out to me. And no matter how happy I was that they were agreeing to negotiate, something about that quote, that statement, just did not leave my head. Like, in terms of, like, noticing it, not like, oh, I'm staying up at night. So then when the news that he's stepping back came out, the first thing that came to my mind was that, are the negotiations potentially not going well? Is there potentially more roadblocks? Is there this or that? Because he already looked exhausted of it. And Donor has done any and everything his organization's asked. He's gone above and beyond. He owes no one in this town, on this team, anything, and yet he's still always been willing to do whatever it takes. He stayed that entire 8-hour slug of a council meeting. Like, he doesn't owe anyone anything. But my mindset, like, I cannot help but be just at least a little panicked. Like, is this a sign that there is potentially something wrong? Is this a sign that, because I said it at the council meeting, like, what, or at least I think I did, is one of the biggest reasons why, like, we should know that there is, the Coyotes are going in the right direction, is because Doan came back to the organization. He wouldn't come back if he knew it was a crap show. So I'm looking at this like, is there potentially something going on? It could just be some family stuff. He could just be a little exhausted of this aspect. I know Craig Morgan did specifically mention in an article that, it seems because he's coaching the informal skates that he might want to get more involved with hockey specifically instead of anything else. So it could be a lot of those things. But in the back of my mind, does it have something to do with these negotiations being kind of grueling, with there being a little more, obstacles in the road? Could he just be exhausted of all of it? Is there potentially something to worry about? And even though I don't think it's like a code red or anything, I'm like, I read that headline, all these thoughts go through my head, and I'm like, there is something here, regardless if I don't have any definitive answers, I don't have any sources, this is just my thoughts. There is something here, and I'm a little worried to see what that something is. I hope it's nothing, but I am a little worried to see what it could be. What are your thoughts on that whole situation and maybe like my like thought process here?
So I think there's a mixture of things with Shane Down. I cannot tell you whether, he's taking a step back for personal reasons or he's taking a step back because of the culture in the front office or whatever. I don't know that. I don't know what's in his head. I have no clue. But if I were to be analytical and intelligent about this, personally, he may have bit off more than he can chew. Because remember, I believe he still actively works with, I think, the Players Association. He still actively works with them. He's got a lot of things. He's obviously has a personal life. He has a ranch. He has a kid who's in college. He has actually 2 kids that are in college, I believe, because I think his daughter is something artistic. I think she's a actor or plays. I don't remember. Something like that, but she's in college. And, it might be one of those things where he's looking at, okay, who have I committed my time to for the longest, right? Well, my kids are pretty important to me. The NHL Players Association, I've done this for 6 or 7 years or whatever. And the Coyotes, I ultimately only jumped in a couple years back, right?
And don't forget Team Canada. He also GM'd the most recent Team Canada. I think it's the World Juniors. Just so you don't forget, there's a lot with Team Canada as well. That's not a insignificant task.
Yeah, ultimately, he may be going, okay, I don't really have much free time for my kids. And, as much as I enjoyed being a part of the Coyotes, I'm going to have to step back and, just be a brand ambassador or whatever. He shows up once a game or whatever, not once a game. I meant once 1 game or 2 games a year. I mean, just something small like that. I personally do feel like it's just he probably feels like it's been too much. If they're asking him to come in maybe 2-3 times a week to sit down in the front office and throw out ideas or whatever, they're having him do, it might just be like, hey, I just don't really have the time to do this anymore. Because I remember when they gave him a title, it seemed kind of nonsensical, if I'm going to be honest with you. It just kind of seemed like a title that you kind of just make up so that somebody gets in there. It's not like anything serious. There could be another aspect there too. Maybe he's like, I really want to be an assistant general manager in the NHL, or maybe I want to push into becoming a general manager in the NHL. If he's seeing that there might not be an opportunity in Arizona, there's plenty of right. He has the right to go, hey, I'm going to try to become something in the front office of an NHL. I'm not seeing the opportunity here in Arizona. And, he has that right to step back and do that as well. Ultimately, if I were a betting man, I would say he probably just wants more free time. I'd assume that he really realizes that his kids are leaving the nest, hypothetically speaking, and he doesn't want to miss their first flight out of the nest, right?
I mean, that's a lot more calming than my little worried behind over here. But I really hope that's all it is. Genuinely, he also could want to get into coaching. It could be, as someone who did 6-day weeks, usually somewhere around 50 hours a week, plus doing YouTube as full time as I possibly could, plus trying to do side projects and stuff. I know exactly what it feels like to do. Bite off way more than you can chew. And I'm the kind of idiot that just does it again and again just to see if I can. He also did say stepping back, not stepping down. He also did say he's still,
Yep.
I think Marullo or Gutierrez, one of them, said he's still an employee with the Coyotes, which, yes. So it's like that's why it isn't like a full like red alert, but like that makes a lot of sense as well, and I genuinely hope it's all it is because like if it's what I was thinking, because I still have that weird gut feeling that there could be something, and I genuinely hope I'm wrong. I don't mind being wrong for stuff like this. I just wish him all the best, and I hope that everything's going smoothly behind the scenes. That's really all I got, because honestly, the Coyotes don't feel the same without Donor. Like when Donor was gone, and then just straight up, he got screwed over by the organization, screwed over by management, by ownership. It felt weird. It was a really weird feeling, like, hey, this is the first game that Doan's not playing in. Like, he's not even on the roster, not even in the league.
Yep.
It was really weird. So, like, I hope everything's fine and everything gets ironed out, or he can spend more time with his kids, and then comes right back to the Coyotes, full-time assistant coach / assistant general manager / head scout / Captain Coyote.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no clue. I mean, ultimately, we're just kind of guessing here. And I just know whatever he's doing that he wants that more time for, I hope he's happy doing it, you know?
I am sad, though. I am genuinely sad and a little worried. Anyway, so would you like to on a happier note, since we are getting around the time we should be hitting the old dusty trail relatively soon, do you have any closing topics, any last things you want to talk about, or do you want to jump right into that poll that I not so subtly alluded to an hour ago?
I don't really have anything else, and I know that we're approaching some time here, so I say we just hop right into the poll and get this over with. What is the poll?
All right, so I thought it'd be funny, but I had to try to reword it a little bit. So all right, I didn't want it to sound weird. So we only got 42 minutes left, 8 votes. Who is the best host?
Oh no,
Richie, because I was hoping to get a couple funny responses. Right now, 8 votes. Who do you think has the most, and how, and by how much? How many votes for who?
What'd you say? Sorry.
Who do you think has the most votes? What do you think the number is? It's 8 votes total. Who is the best host?
Oh. Is it just a 50-50, or did you put some zany thing in there?
I was gonna put a zany thing. It's just 50-50. Only 2 options. Myself and Neo.
I feel like you're a better speaker than I, and I feel like you've had more practice. It's been a little bit since I've brushed up on my YouTube voice. I think that you're the better host. I'm gonna be humble. I'm gonna pump the tires here and be humble. I think that you're the better host.
By what numbers? There's 8 total votes.
Okay. How about numbers? You said.
Yeah. How many votes per? Do you think?
I'm thinking a 6-2. I'm thinking 6 Matt, 2 Richard.
All right. So my personal opinion, I actually think Richie's the better host, primarily because I think you're more of a calmer voice of reason, where I fly off the handles and I'm really out there. My voice is super annoying. This is not for pity. This is my actual opinion. My voice is super annoying. I hate how high pitched it is, and Richie's got that silky smooth, almost jazz voice. Really cool personality.
Smooth jazz.
It's 7-1 me.
Okay.
I have Peter Mueller percentage. I have 2 responses. My wife said, of course, she's biased. No offense, Richie. Nordique's hater said AZ because of his unmatched swagger. And I quote tweeted as hurry up, we're about to record. I did not vote, by the way.
See, I'm the Jeff Merrick here. You're the Elliot Friedman. You got the spice, and I'm the bland. Okay, I keep the blandness here to make it nice and calming, and you come in with the spice, and you drop the spice into the recipe from time to time.
So what you're saying is, I'm Steve Dangle if Steve Dangle wasn't trash.
That's a spice you take.
Oh no, but seriously, I don't like Steve Dangle. I'll say directly to the camera, you're trash. You're a joke.
All right. Well, that's an aggressive take right there. I'll give you that one.
Do you want me to leave you off with like a really stupid thing I did before we started recording?
A stupid thing that you did, I will never say no to.
All right, so I saw a link on Twitter. There are jobs at the Mullet Arena.
Okay.
I looked through all the qualifications. I found the one with the lowest qualifications because I'm not very impressive. I applied for a job. I'm not gonna get it, but I thought it'd be funny to make fun of myself for
What
trying.
happened? What happens if you end up due?
If I actually do get it, I am going to have to start off every single video with, I do work for the Mullet Arena, but not for the Coyotes themselves, and technically I get cheaper tickets because I just sneak in, and all that weird stuff. But yeah, no, I think it would be cool as heck. I would be able to tell my boss, hey boss, even though this job ain't bad, I can go work in an arena called Mullet Arena. I can't turn that down.
I'll be honest with you. For some reason, your mic cut out right at the last 5 seconds of that, so I didn't hear what you said. I'm so sorry.
I apologize. I also forgot what I said, but I would say something along the lines of, I can work in the Mullet Arena.
Oh, you can work in the Mullet Arena. Gotcha. Yeah, it for some reason on my end, it cut out there, but it would be a really cool experience. I'll say that much. Even being like a part of the ice crew, right? Like, you know, one of my buddies, actually, I'm going to go into a side tangent here, a little side story. One of my buddies that I know worked for the Vancouver Canucks. Actually, I have two friends. I have a cousin and I have a friend who works for ice surfaces in the NHL. I'll tell my cousin shortly after this. But my buddy worked as one of the ice scrapers for the Vancouver Canucks. And he said it was quite a crazy feeling when I could command NHL players to get the hell out of the way. So he'd be scraping along the edge of the benches, and he's like, one time I told Crosby to get out of the way. He's like, that was an unreal experience. Like, hey Crosby, can you move? Like, you know. So yeah, I thought that would be like a really cool job if I was gonna work anywhere. And luckily for me, ice scraping, you only have to go forwards. I don't know how to skate backwards, so that's my hot take.
That's a better job than I had. When I worked at the Coyotes Arena, I was parking, then I was guest services. I left, I came back, I was guest services, and at the Cardinal Stadium, I did operations. So I like just carried stuff and moved stuff, and that big inflatable like Cardinal, I got to bring that onto the field and move that. That's kind of cool, I guess, if I liked football.
That's cool. The other one is my cousin. He worked for San Jose. I think he just quit like a few years ago. Well, he didn't quit, but he ended up stopping because he wanted to become, I think, an electrician. I want to say is what he's doing now.
That's a good career. That's
yeah,
a good career.
Good career for him. But he was at one point, I think, even a part of the head people for the ice crew. Like, he originally started as a scraper, then he became a Zamboni driver, and then I think he was as high as like the head Iceman, or at least close to it for San Jose.
That's really cool. I had someone who, like, my dad used to work at the arena, so like I got to meet like the ice guys. My favorite was Nick. He was a cool dude. He ended up going to Chicago afterward. I'm like, some of those Zamboni drivers are very interesting people.
Yeah,
very interesting.
But I think we're gonna call it a wrap there. Would you be safe to say that?
Yeah, that's safe to say. Wish me luck on the call I'm not going to get back. And I you can't see it. Do you want me to be cringy and move my camera real quick to just show off the mess behind me as we're leaving?
Go for it.
So, I went to a Pokemon tournament last night, and I was trying to build a deck, and yeah, there are so many cards just everywhere right now.
I can't wait for what's the doggy's name? Noodle?
Noodle, yes.
I can't wait for Noodle to just jump up on there and crease all of those cards.
It's so funny. Like, she did that for the first like few days. Then she just started either sleeping under my couch, or she'll like run in, run out. So like she doesn't even go on the couch anymore.
I wouldn't either. There's a bunch of cards on it.
There's always trading cards, a plush capybara, and my controllers. But she is
Yeah.
the only dog that's allowed to be on the Coyotes blanket. Pee-Pee jumped on it. I yelled at her. Only Noodle is allowed on that blanket.
All right, I have to ask, Noodle, is that just a random name, or was that a reference to the gorillas?
It was not a reference to the gorillas. So the entire thing was her original name was Thelma. We couldn't keep that. That's it's like Cher's original name was Giovanna. It's not good enough. We're moving on to something good. So I liked Nugget because like you look at her and she's like Nugget. My wife liked Noodle. I also wanted Pringle because it's a Bo Burnham reference and it looks about right. And Noodle ended up winning a Twitter poll. So I'm like, my wife started calling her Noodle before the Twitter poll was over, even though I could have botted it, but you know, Noodle is now the name, and she looks like a noodle.
It's a good name. I like Noodle. Noodle's a fun name. I always like fun names versus, like Steve, Bob, Jeff. You know, like.
I will fight you on this. It's a reference in Deadpool 2. The reason I named Todd is because he's like, oh, I want my kid to have only one name, like Todd or Cher. So when we got the second dog, that's why I named her Cher. And every time anyone come over, I'm like, it's a Deadpool 2 reference. Pee-Pee was because we named her after a Greek goddess, and she was a stupid puppy, so we kept making fun of her, and I think we might have angered a deity, so we just changed it to Pee-Pee, and now we just yell Pee-Pee at her.
All right. Well, thank you for the history lesson of the doggos. I think that's where we're gonna call it. This is another fun episode. This was the Nick Cousins episode. Will you say? Mm-hmm. Remember to give us a like, a follow, a subscription on whatever platform you're listening to us on. If you're listening to us on the audio, just to let you know, we also do record this and put it up on YouTube. So you can find us on YouTube as well if you want to get a visual representation of our dorky faces. You know, feel free to.
I have a face for radio. It's fine.
I don't disagree.
Damn!
Just kidding.
That's
just kidding.
Cold. I mean, you're right. A broken clock's right twice a day. But I'm just saying that face for radio, bada bing, bada boom, go away. I don't like you. Paulie's out of here.
All right. Well, this is the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. And we can't wait to see you next week.